Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Roman.
I'm Corbin.
And today we have a lovely friend who is here in Greg's spot because he's not here. His name is Kevin. He is actually on he has a YouTube channel in the Hampton Roads area.
Yeah, it's still up there. We just don't do a lot with it anymore. So
yes, but it's funny because I met him like 3 years ago, and he told him and a girl who was on the channel at the time told me about the channel. I checked it out. I subscribed. I was watching it for a long time, and it just so happened that 2 weeks ago he walked into my house to do some work, and I was like, "Hey, you're that guy," and he was that guy. And after a couple chats, he wanted to. I offered him a chance to stop by the show, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm in." So, Kevin, say a little what's up.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Kevin from Replaystation and Replaystation Show 2. Yeah, the YouTube channels are a little bit not. They're still there. We still want to do stuff, but just life has just been busy. Not as busy as everybody else is because I don't have a wife and kids, but HVAC gets kind of the season's hot. Just it depends on the season, the time of year, and you know.
Yeah.
So
dude,
it's like there are some things coming up in the future. I've been building a studio and doing a lot of things, so I'm just
get ready to
as I motivated Roman has motivated me to start doing things again. So hey,
yeah,
it's come full circle.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I first started YouTube. I started YouTube because I met Kevin and what's the girl's name? I
have that effect on people. Cat.
Yeah. Because I met you.
Wow, this guy makes me want to go on a video.
Well, no. So I met them, and I was like, oh, well, I never met anyone in Hampton Roads that even had a 12 subscriber channel. So I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. And the fact that I met him again, I was like, oh my God, I'm so stoked. But I was talking with Greg, and I was like, hey, I want to start a YouTube channel because I saw these guys and they're doing it, and we could do sort of some of the same stuff. And we started. I started one, and he kind of tagged along when he showed up. But yeah, I was extremely excited to start one after I met you guys, and then when I met you again, it cranked my I want to do more stuff. Way up. And I was like, oh. Yeah. And then he was like, I want to stop by. And I was like, oh. Okay, gonna put that in.
Wacky with little arm flowing too, man.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, no.
Because I thought about it when you asked me. I was like, was it the mustache? You were like, yeah, it's the mustache. So it's like, I had literally a couple days before that thought about shaving it off again, and I was like, well, guess I'm glad I didn't do that.
No,
because you probably wouldn't have recognized me at all.
No, it was funny because you were coming up the stairs, and I was like, he looks really familiar, and we got to the top of the stairs. I'm like, hey, do you have a YouTube channel? And a podcast?
You were like, you look really familiar, and I was like, okay, what have I done?
Yeah, no, it's funny. I told her,
I'm trying to think, have I been here before?
Yeah.
Have I done something wrong?
Now he gave me the deer in headlights look when I was like, you look familiar. So,
anybody would.
And I was legitimately because I'm thinking to myself, no, probably not. I go to work and I go home.
Yeah. No, but it was definitely because instantly I was like, that guy, when you at the bottom of the stairs, I was like, that guy looks familiar. And then you hit the top stairs, and I was like, God, that mustache looks really familiar. How do I know? And then because we have two little, then there's another 6 steps to go into the second floor. And when we hit that top, I was like, that's the dude from Replaystation. It dawned on me when we hit the top stairs, and that's what I was like, you look really familiar. I think I know you. And
yeah, it was
and
really
literally
crazy.
We had probably a 2.5-hour conversation when I first met you. So that's how I knew you had no idea who I was. Because that was a 2-hour conversation 3 years ago.
So your station obviously was about video gaming and everything, right? Because he told me briefly what you guys would do, but
Yeah.
mainly obviously Replay, so it must be all video games.
Yeah, mostly. I mean, pretty much. That's pretty much what it is.
What kind of games do you play, or did you play, or
everything?
Yeah, no, like on their, like they had a like what we got this month thing, and there'd just be like stacks of games of like some I've heard of, some I'm like, the hell game is that? Like,
this is Spanish, I think.
No, it was actually pretty neat, some of the games they had, because there was like, it was stuff I'd never heard of, stuff I have heard of, and just like some of the stuff I was like, I've heard of it, never played it. So that actually got me, because you were coming on, it got me thinking about just video games in general, like where I started picking up video games, when it became instead of just a like, oh, that's neat, to like something that I like to do religiously. And one thing first thing I thought of was, what was the first system I ever got? Like, what's the first one I got? When did I get it? Why did I get it? Stuff like that. When did you get yours first, Corbin?
I don't remember when, but of course I was old enough to know that you had to blow into the cartridge to get a good game going. It was the original NES. I remember that.
So the first one, the original
one. The first one with the cartridges and everything. You had to do a good blow job, otherwise you weren't getting anything out of it. You know, I mean,
which it's funny because that's a myth, but it totally worked.
It totally worked. You stick it in there and you go, crap. All right. That was my first one, and then I went to Game Boy. I think I had an original Game Boy, or I maybe waited until it came out.
The big like brick one.
Yeah, the brick.
I think I had. Thing.
So, but that, of course, I just had like, Mario or whatever on it, or Donkey. What's it called? It was called Mario Brothers, but it was with Donkey Kong, right? If I'm not mistaken.
The original
Barrel, wasn't it?
Donkey. Well, Mario's first appearance was in Donkey Kong. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I had that one. See, I played video games and I remember all of that stuff. And then I'm trying to think.
It's like, throwing the barrels thing.
Like, yeah, well, no, it was like Mario has to jump.
Think you can.
Like, he was a plumber. I don't think they gave him a name yet. I don't know.
He was Jumpman.
Jumpman or something. But I think they kind of carried it over. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I always thought that was his first appearance.
No problem.
So, Kevin, what was your first video game system or system?
Okay, the first one that I remember playing was Mom and Dad had an Atari 2600 in the house, but it was in my sister's. It was in my sister's room, and I wasn't allowed to play it. But
really,
that means you definitely played it all the time.
The funny thing is, I think I only actually played it one time, but I remember it like super vividly because I hated it. Because being a 6 or 7 year old kid, it was just like, this doesn't make sense. I think it was, I can't remember the game. It was the tank battle one. I can't remember the name of it. Yeah. But it was just like, I didn't understand, and I wasn't supposed to be in there anyway. So I'm like, I'm grabbing the controller and I'm like, I'm making sure nobody's watching me. And so then the first one that I got like as my own thing, I'm pretty sure it was a Game Boy first. And it had like Tetris and the Donkey Kong Game Boy game, which is amazing. So underrated. Bunch of other stuff. And then the first console I got, I think, was a Super Nintendo. And then like literally like right after that, I got the 64 when it came out.
So it's I love the 64. I played so much Mario. I can't remember what the name of the actual Mario game on 64 was.
Super Mario 64.
Yeah, played all the time. You can like at the one screen, you can like grab his nose and move it around on the like.
At the startup screen.
Yeah, I freaking love that. But the first system I ever got was
when I got Super NES. My favorite game on there was still the Mario games. I think it was Super Mario World 3, because it just kept getting more and more crazy. Like,
Oh,
the
you on the
second
NES?
the
Yeah.
raccoon tail and everything. You started to be able to like fly. I was like, okay. And then you started to become like a frog or something. And then the next one,
You got
just like,
you got a Tanuki suit and a frog suit. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
you know. So I had a lot of fun with that though. And I'm trying to think of what other game. I think I just mainly played Mario on that. I just kept playing it over and over and over again. I can't remember any other game.
It's funny because
Yeah, they had so much. They had so much stuff in them that you could do for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's funny because my first system was Super Nintendo. That was my first system I ever received. I had played an Atari 2600, but I was sort of had the same experience you did, Kevin. I wasn't trying to rush. Like, I was at a babysitter's house and they let me play it, but I had no idea what the hell I was doing. Like, I was just like, move the stick, thing moved. It's hard.
When I first started collecting, I can't remember even what year that was, but that was back when VGH would have like every system ever in the store, and they would have multiple copies of it. And I was like, oh man, I remember this Atari. So I bought one, and I was just like, I still couldn't figure out how to freaking use it. And I was like, 23, and I'm like, what is this thing? I don't get this at all.
I just remember
the old technology can't use it.
Gosh, man.
I remember
nowadays
the
I know everything
NES
about
game. NES game, favorite one, because it was like the controller, you know, screw the little square one. No, I got the gun controller for Duck Hunter. Duck Hunter. I loved that game. I love that game because, you know, that's how they train those terrorists in the beginning. Just to kill the animals, you know?
Kill the
now you don't have that anymore, I'm sure. They don't have little video game guns, but still.
The hell they don't.
They have VR now.
They just suck.
Well, now they have VR.
Yeah, which the VR it's funny because there's a system I'm going to talk about that is like the pre predecessor to what the VR systems we kind of have now, and it was by Nintendo. You probably have one. I can't even think what the hell they're called now. It basically you put your head in the goggle system, and the controller was below you, and it was basically a red screen.
Oh, Virtual Boy.
Virtual Boy. Thank you.
Yeah, I used to have.
Drawing such a blank. I've played one once
until I realized it was worth money.
Yeah, because people like it. I don't understand.
I had a broken one and a working one, and then I realized it was worth money, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll sell it for a lot of money, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I never really played it because it sucks.
Dude, I played
it was the worst.
My head hurt so bad.
It was terrible.
It was horrendous. It's also why
you're not missing much.
No, and it's also why it's on like the low end of worst game systems ever. It's always
because there's only like a certain number of games on it. I don't remember how many.
It's like
it's under 20.
I was gonna say it's less than 20. That's exactly what I was gonna say. It's less than 20, and everything was red, and it just it's the worst. Sucked. And like the tennis game just did.
Now there were some good games on it, like Wario. I think it's like Wario Land, and like there was like a shoot 'em up on it that was decent, and then the 3D Tetris was rad, but there wasn't very many.
But that, and once you started playing it for a long time, like at least for me, it gave me like the worst headache.
Well, yeah, because they tell you like right off the bat, like, hey, you're gonna get sick, you're gonna have headaches, don't play.
Yeah, they're like, limit your time. Like,
exactly.
So what was your favorite system you've ever had? Like from whether you're a kid to now, and even if it's you have it now but it's an older system, like because it's funny because mine is actually a older generation system, but it's still on the new end. Like mine's a PS3, like the PlayStation 3, because that was like the first system that I got that I played games daily on, and it kind of grew from there. Like PlayStation 2, I had one, but I didn't really get into gaming hard until like PlayStation 3 came along. Like, and that's playing online and playing with Greg, playing like all the Call of Duties, all the sports games, everything on.
Oh, COD, bro.
Dude, I
Gotta
play.
play COD, bro.
Oh God.
Greg was
I
saying we
think-
could have a 45-minute conversation of how awesome Call of Duty is.
And then I would go like this up to my X, and I would click it, and I'd be like, "See you guys later."
You and Corbin would be gone.
No, I liked them up until if my buddy Josh was here, I'd be able to talk to with him. But I was good with them up until Modern Warfare 3, and then I didn't really like anything after that, really.
Where you had like the jump and fly.
Well, they got all spacey and they got all jumpy and jetpacky, and it was just like, and I was playing Halo at the time too, so it just was like, you know.
Yeah.
I've noticed as I've gotten older, I've gotten like, I don't play as much games as I used to play.
Yeah.
I own them more than I play them.
Yeah.
Well, depending on what it is. Like if it's a racing sim, I'm up in my simulator and I'm playing all the time. But
yeah, because I was about to say, because you're big into racing games.
that's my bread and butter, baby.
Big time.
I have an import racing game coming in probably every week if I have the choice.
Huh.
I'm buying them all the time.
I
think I literally just had a package come in yesterday of 3 or 4 of them. So
Jesus, I play mine's the sports games. I play all the sports every game.
Add-ins and stuff. Yeah.
I don't think I played a Madden since 05.
I've played every Madden they've put out.
Oh well, I think I played 07 and 08. When they got onto like the new gen stuff, it got kind of like, ugh. It just seemed to get like really complicated.
And that they are very, very complicated.
But that's what he likes about it.
And that's totally fine too.
It's also like since my open heart surgery, I can't play the sports that I used to. So it's like it kind of took over for that. So I play them and win all their championships and hold the road for.
I do all the racing sims because I can't afford a race car.
Yeah. Apparently, I didn't know if you knew this, but race cars are really expensive.
Absolutely. Trust me, I've looked at investing and it's not possible.
Yeah, it's costly.
Just treat your car like a race car, and you're good to go. Right, Coleman?
I kind of do. Life's about to fall apart.
My 2014 Honda.
Yeah, Corbin. Yeah,
really
what was your like favorite console back, or even now? What is it?
So console, I'm trying to think. See, I was impatient as a gamer, so I remember Super, because I think I used it. Or no, I used it on Game Boy Color. Do you guys remember Game Shark and the code break, whatever?
The code,
remember all that, entering those codes and everything.
Very
so I loved hacking those games like crazy. So you would just do like Pokemon and all that crap, dude. I would get all that shit, dude. I would fuck with my games so bad. So I could say Game Boy Color was probably like I spent a lot of time on that. But
because you had the cheat codes.
Because I had the cheat code. But see, like I would play it even more because I'd be like, what can I mess up now? Or what can I do now? You know?
Now, I will say that is basically my life in Grand Theft Auto since the beginning of Grand Theft Auto. Was hacks and cheat codes. Now, back in the day, you had to use the shark card. We used it on Tony Hawk Pro Skater, either 1 or 2, to get all of the stuff. Like,
yeah,
Greg had it, so we got all the stuff.
So I used that a lot. But to be honest, and we keep saying consoles. My gaming was mainly computer. That's where I did all my gaming.
So I was actually gonna kind of bring that up because I know you were a PC gamer.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that with PC gaming, there's no like when it comes to a console, you have the PlayStation whatever, and it lasts for however many years until the next one comes out.
You and I discussed this where it's like
PC gaming. It just it's all the hardware updates. Like
you get a new game, they push the limits again, and you're like, dude, I have to buy more RAM. Like the laptop that I played on all the time, dude. By the end of its life, it had like no original parts anymore. Like it was completely gutted. And
like I've told you before, that's why I like the console gaming because I have it, it works, it plays. If I get a game for a PlayStation 4,
Yep.
I know it's going to work on a PlayStation 4.
I'm exactly the same way.
Yeah,
That's
no,
why
I agree. That's why I've
Oh.
stopped with PC gaming, and I only game. I'm an Xbox guy, and I only game on my One. And the games I play, I just keep playing over and over again. I don't do multiplayer. I really
It's multiplayer.
Ever since WoW, I was hardcore into WoW.
Oh,
Then I got out.
I've never played WoW once in my life.
I will never.
I can't
Me
do
and
it.
a college buddy, he got me into it, and we'd play a lot. But then I got married, and it was like, yeah, no. she took that wave right.
That's
quick.
your own World of Warcraft right there.
Yeah.
You got your own battles to fight at home.
You got your own
So,
battles to
yeah.
fight now.
But now I just play like RPG or shooter games. Like my favorite one of all time is still Far Cry 3 now, or Far Cry 4. Sorry, Far Cry 4 is like my favorite game of all time. All time.
So what's your, now that you said that, what's your fondest memory of gaming?
Fondest memory of gaming, I'd say, would be playing Pokemon. My first Pokemon game was Pokemon Yellow, believe it or not.
Same.
Then I went to Blue, and I played Blue. No, Red. I had Red.
You went
But Yellow.
you went from the newer one to the later one. That's weird.
My parents didn't treat me right. They didn't get me games right away, man.
That's
So,
extremely backwards.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, but they didn't get me stuff like my N64, of course I had one. I got it used. Like, I mean, I didn't get it right away.
Wow.
I got mine
More
straight out of
focused
the
on
new
keeping
box.
me outside.
Yeah, mine
But-
too. Yeah.
But
Straight out of the box.
using that with Game Shark, those fondest moments, because I would just go to town messing shit up. I loved it. It.
Well, so Kevin, what's your fondest memory in gaming as a whole?
Well, to go back to the console one, like for favorite console, that's really tough because I have pretty much all of them.
And that was actually one of the
It's-
questions when I developed. I knew you had a
It's
lot.
very difficult because there's just so much stuff on. I mean,
You probably have one for graphics. And
probably
one for,
well, no, probably well, no. It'd be for like certain types of games. It'd probably be the 64 because I just love the Aki wrestling games on it, and Monster Truck Madness 64 got wore out on my console. But so did the Aki wrestling games like No Mercy and all that stuff. GoldenEye we played nonstop.
GoldenEye was actually one I was going to bring up. Was playing like GoldenEye was the first person shooter game I ever played.
Yeah.
And
Doom. I played Doom.
I never played.
See,
Doom
I never
because
played Doom.
I was too young.
I played the original Doom.
I was too young too. I think that was bad. And I didn't have a PC.
Younger than all of you guys, and I still
I
played
didn't
it.
I didn't get the computer
like,
till I was like 13.
I didn't.
I mean, legitimately, I didn't have my own computer till I was like 13.
We didn't get a house computer until I was in 3rd grade, and it was only for papers
and email.
Internets, any of them.
You didn't have dial-up?
No. Like I'm talking like 2nd grade. Like no. Hell no.
Well, yeah, that was
many moons ago. Like dial-up was in its infancy type thing. Like
56K, baby.
I don't remember having internet at home until I was in middle school.
Huh.
Like middle school was the first time I remember having internet. And it was only used for AIM to talk to girls.
Hey.
And
yeah, I caught on to AIM like when it didn't matter.
Yeah. No. AIM was such a big deal for my 6th grade year. Like it was the biggest deal on the planet. Like if you could get one of the girls like AIM names, like yeah, buddy. It was going to be really awkward conversations that you wouldn't have in person.
Yeah, because I went on my AIM right before it got shut down, which was recently, and I was like, wow, I got to delete all of this.
Yeah. No,
This cannot find the public ever.
this can't meet the light of day.
Never get out.
Yeah,
I had to wipe everything. It was like, nope.
Are you DTF, yo?
Oh, it was
No,
bad.
age, sex, location, man. I was
God, what were some of
a
those
25-year-old blonde female from New York.
Just sweet.
Really,
Where's New York?
40-year-old guy in his garage.
Yeah, probably talking to
Well,
another.
yeah. Or the FBI agent behind your house
It's very possible.
in the van down the street.
But
Let's see. Yeah, Pokemon was another memory for me too, because I got all the Pokemon games all the way up till Yellow, and I remember when I got Yellow, I got the Game Boy bundle with it, the blue and yellow Pokemon Game Boy, and I still have that. I still have that Game Boy and all my Pokemon games I had.
So the actual original Game Boy.
Yep, I never got rid of them. Yep.
Mine's in some trash fill somewhere. My original one, because it shit the
Yeah,
bed.
and my blue one still has its box, but that's the only one that had the box still for some reason.
Holy hell! Like,
Because I'm sure I ripped them all open before. I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Like I was thinking back to my time when I first got that Super Nintendo for Christmas. That box didn't stand a damn chance.
Mom said that she has that footage of when I opened all that stuff up. So it's like I'm about to be like, "Can I have, please?"
Yeah, can I have that?
So I can put it up on YouTube and make myself like a fool.
Hey, that's how you get. That's how you get things done.
90s Kevin.
Grainy ass film too.
I remember. So I kept up with the Pokemon games, and I remember getting Game Boy Advance. You guys remember that? And then I think it was the one after.
I never had one.
I got the
color, and that was it. There was like nope.
Yeah. Then I went to.
I got the
DS.
color too. I never got the Advance.
Oh yeah, then the DS. Yeah.
DS was all the rage because it's like, oh my god, a pen? What?
I never got the DS. I never got the 3DS.
I don't know. Yeah, I like stopped at color, and I didn't like have. I guess I just didn't care about it after that.
Well, like I had the Pokemon game for the color that I played on the color, and that was like that's the only game I ever wanted to play on it. So I was like, nah.
Oh yeah, like what, Gold, Silver, and Crystal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never played any of those.
I think I had
until later.
Gold. I played Gold. Yeah, I mean, I went up pretty far, but then I think I stopped after DS, Nintendo DS. You mentioned 64 though. That was my first, like, when I beat this game, both games really, I felt like super accomplished and I loved them. And they're like, Wily Zeldas, both of them. Oh man, I loved those. Those were. Yeah, you never did them. I know.
I never played Zelda.
Yeah. Again, it's like you and I have different tastes. Like I like the RPG. I'm not like Final Fantasy crap.
Like looking back now, like the human I've become, I'm like that is such a game I would play now because I like that type of game now.
I still play right now, man. Shit. There's a
because I remember that. I remember my mom was like, "Hey, I got you some games from Big Lots," and I was like, "Huh?" And she was like, "Yeah, they were on sale, and it was like the special edition of Ocarina of Time," and I was like, "Oh, I don't even know what this is." And I got it. And I never even played it, and it was like, but I still have the manual for it and everything. But I played it, but I was just like, it wasn't my thing. I just ended up putting WrestleMania 2000 in instead. I was like, whatever.
That game became such like a what do you want to call it? Like it has such a huge fan base that now someone's actually recreating it with today's graphics.
Yeah,
like,
I'm really
and I'm just like, if he ever releases that shit, I'm buying that right quick because I've seen some of the videos of it.
Well, that's the problem. Nintendo's being real jerks about all that stuff.
Well, they've always been that way though.
Like, which I don't blame them. I mean, it's their property. I mean,
I bet you if they released something like this, they would make so much money because people would buy that thing up.
But that's the thing with Nintendo is they keep everything so close to chest that like they hold it so tight. Like third party people trying to get in there and make Nintendo games is like virtually impossible because their stipulations are so hard.
I don't understand that. If it's gonna make them money and people are like, trying to do this stuff, you see a market for it.
Well, see, the problem is Nintendo for the longest time was like the system, and it's not the system anymore. Like basically,
it's getting there.
You got like the Wii and the Wii U, but it's
I know.
like,
What's the latest one? Is it
the Switch?
Is it
the Switch?
The Switch. That's
Nintendo
the latest
Switch.
one, right?
The Switch is bringing it back, which I don't have one yet.
Brought it back.
But
It made it.
I liked the Wii U. I thought it was great, but
but it was.
But
it
it's
was
still not. They don't have one for like your TV anymore, though. It's just that hand.
They do.
The Switch plugs into the TV. You can just
both.
take it. You can take it with you if you want to.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Again, I don't
like
have.
It has dual purposes, but it's like, but even like with the
I've never
controllers
seen
basically
you
can
do it with
slide
the
out.
TV. That's why I didn't know. So it seems like it's
That's why I'm not really into it, because it's just like I've never really been like a Nintendo game guy, because like when I played Nintendo, I played games that weren't Nintendo games.
Yeah.
They were like other games.
Well, it's funny because like the one of the memories I have with my Super Nintendo on the day that I got it, because I got a couple games for it on that Christmas, and I got a like Wayne Gretzky hockey game.
Yes.
I played it until it stopped fucking working.
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey is the best.
Dude, I like played the bejesus out of that game, and it was like I had the Mario and I had other games. It was like, I want to play hockey, and I figured out how to cheat and go behind my own goal, take a shot at the goal, and it'd go in. So if I was ever losing, I'd just do that.
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey was another game that we played nonstop all the time.
I played it until it broke. And then, like, I matter of fact, I don't remember playing really too many other games on my Super Nintendo other than the hockey game. Like, and which was sad because there's a lot of games on the Super Nintendo that are pretty good games.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So what are the question's going to be list the name of the systems that you've owned. I'm going to give Kevin a time to think about it because I feel like he has a shit ton, and I feel like Corbin's is much smaller.
Yeah, because again, I went to PC. So for me, it was NES, SNES, Game Boy. I did have a regular Game Boy, like the original. Mm-hmm. I had the Game Boy Color. I had the Game Boy Advanced. I had the N64. I had the original Xbox 360. Xbox One. And then again, I was primarily PC. When I could go into PC gaming, and I would just mod the shit out of it. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because like mine goes like Super Nintendo because I never went Nintendo. The N64, which was my second favorite console of all times, behind the PlayStation 3.
I need a chalkboard.
That's what I say. I got to give Kevin time to think about it because I know he got
a chalkboard.
Dreamcast, GameCube.
So I knew a guy who had a Dreamcast, and we played an NFL football game on it. But I had a PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, a Wii, Game Boy, and Game Boy Color.
Oh, I had a Wii too.
And Sega Genesis. Sega Genesis. That I played Sonic the Hedgehog on.
I did have I forgot about Sega.
Sega Genesis.
Mortal Kombat, all that.
Everyone does.
I forgot about
Sega. Everyone forgets about Sega.
Well, that's
I had a Sega Genesis
after Sega that worked. Like,
I remember.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I had Nintendos growing up, but I love Sega now because of all their amazing arcade racing games and stuff.
So, like, literally the only game I played on it was Sonic the Hedgehog.
That's another story for another day about Sonic.
I played a shitload of Sonic.
Never been a fan.
With a Sonic movie.
Did you see the new trailer though? They changed him back. They fixed him.
Yeah, but just why, man?
He looks a lot better.
Because money.
Yeah, but why?
I'm interested in it.
They want to make money.
Jim Carrey.
I don't like it either, but Jim Carrey is probably the only thing that saves it.
God,
you're gonna see it, right?
I'll probably see it. But
That's what I thought.
I'll probably see it once it's on demand or something.
there you go. When it's on like
I'm not gonna give it
HBO
free.
now, I'll watch it because we got 1,000 million channels.
I'll let my buddy Josh scrape it from the interweb and we'll watch it.
So go ahead and name your systems, Kevin. I'll sit back and get it.
All right. I'll start with ones that I had when I was a kid up until I was an adult and could start buying my own.
Yeah.
Was the Game Boy, regular Game Boy Color, and then Super Nintendo 64. Then I went to GameCube. Then I went to and then I started buying all whatever I wanted. So it was like I've owned all the Atari, like 2600, 5200,
5600,
7800. Yeah, 50. No, it's a 2600, 5200, and then the 7800. And then let's see, I got a Jaguar. I've owned a Lynx before.
Jaguar sucked.
I love the Jaguar. It gets such a bad rap. You just have to see it on a PVM. I'll show it to you one day.
Yeah.
You see Tempest 2000 on a PVM, it's amazing. Yeah, and then NES, Famicom, Super Famicom, Super Nintendo, 64, GameCube, all the PlayStations, all the Nintendos, all the Ataris, Neo Geo CD, Neo Geo AES, Vectrex. Let's see, a JVC XI, a ColecoVision.
Some of these are definitely international, like other countries. There's no way they had all this.
Only two that I've said that are other countries are the Super Famicom and the Famicom.
All of these other ones, I don't remember seeing.
That's also because they aren't the most popular video game systems out there. Like, and a lot of those are older games too, if I remember correctly, like older systems.
But like, do any of them?
Yeah, I basically owned probably all of the major, like even the ones that don't know about. I probably owned all of them.
Yeah. What about?
I still have a lot of them.
Like some of those weird. I say weird.
Like name it off, and I'll tell you if I've had.
Like less common, ones. What kind of games did they have, or did some games like transfer between one system and another? You know what I'm saying? Like you had all these PlayStation only games, you had Xbox only games, but did they have their own developers, or you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because I don't remember seeing a game advertised for any of those systems.
How about the Pippin?
Well, like with the Neo Geo stuff with the AES, SNK pretty much developed all that stuff. I mean, there were third parties, but it pretty much was all SNK. And they did an amazing job.
In-house. How about a
Pippin? Pretty much.
Pippin?
I never had an Apple Pippin, never seen one.
The Apple Pippin? That's because
I don't think I've ever seen them in the store before. I don't think. I mean, I'm sure they've had it, but
it's also such like a niche. Like one, they didn't sell a lot when they were actually here.
No, so that's
Apple
the other.
Lost a ton of money on them, so most likely the ones they had in storage were probably got scrapped.
I own a TurboGrafx 16 as well, and I've had a Commodore Amiga 32 as well, which is the CD-based Commodore Amiga computer.
Now, is that?
I got rid of that quick.
What I think Philips.
That was a North American thing, but only in Canada and Europe.
Oh wow!
So somebody sold it to VGH one time, and I bought it. So.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
See, stuff like that. I think it's neat. How about have either of you've probably heard of it, Kevin? But there's a thing called an N-Gage. It was by Nokia. It was the
yes.
Was a device.
Actually, that sounds vaguely familiar.
It sold for about a year and didn't do well.
Yep, I owned one for about a week.
Yeah, the phone capability.
I ended up massively regretting it and selling it back to the store.
Well, because like the phone, you had to like hold it in a weird way to have the phone work, and then the game.
Well, you had to take the phone apart to get the game out.
Yeah, and you had to take the battery out to switch the game. Then put the battery back in, then close it all up.
Yeah,
like,
it's the dumbest
that's a nightmare. That's a nightmare. But it was one of the like first kind of forays into phone gaming kind of technology that now our phones do without it being a quote unquote game system. And
Yeah.
when that came out, you had the Game Boy, the game. I mean, it was
First
people
phone
okay with
game.
carrying the Game Boy around.
First technically a game on your phone that you remember playing.
Angry Birds.
No, I had earlier.
It's probably
Snake.
Snake on the Nokia.
Snake on the Nokia.
Yep.
Snake on the Nokia
Yep.
brick for sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
buddy.
My little tiny.
And I've also owned all the Sega consoles. I forgot about those.
Sega.
Yep.
Now,
Because the Saturn's one of my favorites now for sure.
The Saturn. I remember that.
so
I remember that.
now you haven't. Did you mention GameCube?
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
And I never had one, but I remember.
I had a buddy who had one.
Yeah, I went from 64 to GameCube, and then that's when I started going to PlayStation stuff after that.
Yeah. So
That's
I took my GameCube with me because my sister was in college at the time, so she was going to EMU up in Harrisonburg, and so we would always take road trips. And I bought a screen for it, so I could play Soul Calibur 2 wherever I went.
shit.
I think I still have the screen too. I gotta find that.
Jesus.
It was the best, man. I loved it. I had so much fun in the back of the car.
So, what was the? There's a game where you basically play as different characters from different game worlds, and you fight each other. I can't.
Super Smash Brothers.
Super Smash Brothers. God, I was trying to think of the name of the game.
I was like, huh?
Super Smash Bros.
Yes.
I like how my terrible explanations, like, oh, you mean that game, you
Completely
dummy.
threw me off.
I've
Absolutely.
learned.
Bro, I was so bad.
Well,
on that one.
it's the only reason it threw me off is because it's just like I feel like nowadays everyone knows what Super Smash Brothers is.
Yeah, and it just
called
it was
that.
like,
I mean?
it was one of those things that it like whoop, was gone. I'm like, I just remembered that name of that damn game, and I can't remember now. I played that again with a kid in my neighborhood, like on the every other daily.
I remember when that came out. It was like late '99, I think, when it came out, and I was going to after school daycare at a church in my area here, and we had a 64 in like the playroom, and if we did all our homework, we could have like a little bit of time with it. And one of the kids got it, and we were like, "What is this?" Because we were playing the Super Nintendo before that. We would always play Street Fighter 2. And everybody would want to beguile because he had an American flag on his arm.
Yeah.
They all thought he was like G.I. Joe or something, and we didn't know what we were doing. Then Smash came out, and then it was just like, oh, you don't have to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Smash buttons.
Smash buttons, things happened, you win, yay, game.
Pretty much.
So
I still haven't. I have an employee of mine who is diehard fan of that game. Still, like, there's the new one, I guess, and they keep coming out with new characters and stuff of it still, and
it's
right
a big
thing. Yeah.
Yes. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate on the Switch.
Yeah, that's it. And she, it's all about it. And I guess her thing is she always talks about Pikachu. I guess that's her character. I never.
That's a top tier character for sure.
Gotcha.
So
I just remember when you said that, I was like, God, that's all that girl talks about.
Yeah, I loved that game growing up, or when I was younger, because I was growing up. I remember playing like the original to death, and I remember there was a comic book store that was near my house that would have tournaments like on the weekend.
Yeah,
and I hated going.
That sounds amazing.
But see, here's the thing though, I hated going to those stores because every time I went in there, like if you weren't like super up on everything in there, they treated you like dog shit. I freaking hated it.
That's that
like,
place.
It like ruined it for me. But because I was so young and it was the only place I could like literally walk to, I'd like go. And I was like, God, I can't wait to go anywhere else. It sucked. It like ruined it. It ruined kind of
I miss video rental stores,
but so
I gotcha.
Okay, I want to say one thing. I remember now why I didn't have. I mean, I still had game consoles, but like why I was more on the PC. I forgot about emulators, where I would just play all your guys' games on my computer, and for free.
I remember those.
That's why I never really That's why I was all PC, because I would just say, screw it. You got an N64.
They have come a long way for sure. That's another story for another day. They've come a long way.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So, okay,
Anyway.
so I know this is probably going to be a like, shut up, don't talk to me, kind of Kevin question, because it's, do you enjoy going back to old systems and playing games even though they're older systems?
Absolutely.
Knew it. It's just like, yes.
Yeah,
next.
absolutely. But the reason is because there's just something to them, because
Is it a nostalgia
you know
thing?
I'm into older. The funny thing is, a lot of them. Some games are nostalgia because you played them before, but a lot of the games I've never played before. It's
And
one
that
of those
would
things
kinda
where, like,
cancel out
I'm
the
into the
nostalgia.
older racing and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
a lot of stuff that was older was just like better because it was more honest back then.
Yeah.
You made the game, that was it.
Yeah.
We have to make it good so people will pay us money for it.
Yeah.
But nowadays, people are like, oh, we'll just make it and they'll buy it. And if they don't like it, we'll do something about it. But, you know, now that I'm getting into it more than I did before, I mean, I'm kind of getting out of it, but I'm still staying into it. But like, I have, what I was telling you about earlier was I have a couple PVMs upstairs, which is a professional video monitors, like ones you see in like hospitals or like on the news and stuff. That's the best CRTs you can get other than like a BVM. So I was able to get a really good deal on those, and they're RGB, and you can get RGB cables for these old consoles, and they look so amazing. It makes the experience funner because they look better, but you know, some people take it a little bit too far with that stuff, and it makes it not fun. But you know,
So,
and it's just they're just so much more fun because they're just simpler, and they're just, you know, it takes it back to an easier time when you can just have fun with games.
That's why I don't play multiplayer. I mean, I know it's two different things, but for me, not having to worry about playing with other people and etiquette and all that, and like my nephew plays all, you know, I think, what's one of the big ones? Overwatch? No?
I thought of Fortnite.
Yeah,
Fortnite.
Overwatch,
Fork Knife.
And he's screaming at the
I play
screen,
that
and
every
what
night.
the hell are you doing, and all that. I'm like, I'm playing my video games going, look, I can pause my game and go away and come back and keep playing. Like, I can't stand multiplayer because it's more complicated.
I love multiplayer if I have the time to do it and I don't have to like keep getting up and down from my screen. If I like watching the baby when she's taking a nap, like when she first goes down, if I don't have like homework or stuff to do, I'll jump into a multiplayer game, and then play like a couple matches, and then jump to like a Madden, or I got a couple golf games. I got all kinds of different sports games. I'll jump into those because those I don't play against other humans. I play this against the AI, so I can pause them whenever the hell I want. But with the question I asked Kevin, I feel like you, Corbin, don't go back to older systems at all.
No, because I can't really keep them around.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't go necessarily to older systems, but I'll replay the same game over and over and over and over and over. And even with newer games, like I have like the new Assassin's Creed and all that banked up, like I bought it and everything. I still haven't played it. I actually have games, like nice new games I still
Because you're still stuck on
I'm
the
the
game.
same way. I'm the same way.
like
dude.
I will replay Far Cry 4 and I will play the New Dawn 2 once in a while. But Far Cry 4 just over and over and over and over and over.
It's funny. I am the polar opposite. I am such a game butterfly where I'm like, this game, then that game, then this game, then that game. Like I'll eventually finish a game, but I don't know if it's the ADD in me. I don't know.
I've tried to be like that. And I Dishonored 2. That's the other game I will keep playing over and over and over again. But
yeah, for me, it's like I think the last main game, like campaign wise, I beat, other than like Forza Horizon, which I don't really feel like counts, but it's like Halo. Well, I mean, it has a campaign you have to go through, but
yeah, exactly. Like Need for
so
Speed.
I guess that does count. But like shooter wise was Halo 5. That's the last game I played, and that was many years ago.
It's funny. I have
just
not,
because
I've
I
never
because
played
I play. I mean, that's totally fine. It's not for everybody.
No.
But now
I didn't have.
I'm so enthralled into my racing games and my Sims. It's like that's what I spend my time playing now, and that
Yeah.
doesn't really have. Now it has massive replay value.
Yeah.
Because you're always trying to better yourself and always
That
trying to
Replaystation show.
Yeah,
too.
and that's one of the benefits,
right.
though, of owning a big multiplayer game, though. If you play mainly multiplayer games, the game is never done. That's the only benefit. Like, you don't beat it because you keep playing against people. You know, you keep trying to meet the top rank.
Yes and no, but what they do for those games, like a Call of Duty type, is you can like rank up in your ranking. Once you hit the max ranking, that's like the done moment. And I have only hit the max rank on multiplayer probably in 2 of the Call of Duties. Like where you prestige.
I've never ever hit it.
I've prestiged 10 times, probably twice, and that's because for a long time that was like my game. Was the Call of Duties. Then once it started getting like Black Ops 3, I was okay with. Modern Warfare 3, I was okay with, and like then I got really tired of the jumping around, and I wanted boots on the ground, so I went to Battlefield because Battlefield's always been kind of the boots on the ground.
And you hated your life.
No, I enjoy it, but it's definitely a different feel than like a Call of Duty where everything.
I couldn't play Battlefield.
It's slower. It's way slower, and I get killed, and I have no idea who the hell killed me. like,
yep.
What the hell?
I was never very good at them, but I was having fun. That's why everybody would get so upset about camping. I'm like, dude, I have 2 kills and like 30 deaths. You need to chill.
Well, okay,
like,
so
it's okay.
It's one of those things that, like, if you're not good at it, camping does. People like rag on campers. To me, it's like it's a part of the game, though. Because the thing is, if you kill me when you're camping, I know you are.
It's war.
Like,
why am I trying to run into your death
exactly?
Team?
But it's also
I've never understood that.
Like, people get so mad at campers, but 90% of the time they're going to be right back in the same spot. So just go kill them then. Like, if you're that upset about it, go do something about it. If not, don't kill them.
Well, they're only upset because they got killed. That's all they're upset about.
Yeah, but to me, it's
like if they don't get killed all the time, like, dude, you camped, good job. And then when they get killed, oh, you camped. I can't believe this.
Yeah, but it's
like you weren't mad earlier, but you're mad now.
It's funny because I used to, when I was playing Call of Duty, and we've talked about this before. I know Corbin's about to go take a nap, but me and Greg used to be really, really good. Like I'd have like 32 kills and like 3 deaths. Like, I was really good. And I would get killed by someone who was not camping out in the middle of nowhere, and I'd just be like, "You camper," and just listen to them lose it, just because I was trolling them, because I know they're not camping.
It gets crazy.
But so
that's kind of the reason. One of the reasons I kind of stopped playing. But anyway.
Yes, but so to the question I asked both you guys, I know Corbin was basically I don't have a system, can't go back. For me, the only thing I hate about going back to games that I played is if I'm playing a game that is on both the older and newer generation. And that's okay. So for instance, Black Ops 3. Black Ops 3 was on both the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. I got it for the PlayStation 4, and I liked it, didn't love it, but the graphics were pretty good, so there was sort of some saving grace to it. When I went and played it on the PlayStation 3, it's like the bare bones and it's not even the graphics, it's because they're limited to with the system. There's only so much they can put in the scenery and things around you. So when you look at them side by side, it looks like straight up garbage. Now, if I didn't have that A and B look to it, going back and playing older games on older systems, it does not bother me like at all. I know some people can't stand it, but it doesn't bother me. The problem is I don't have those systems to go back to anymore. Yeah. So like I
can make that happen.
Yes, but I would love to play the N64. But and see that's one of the things that man. I'd love to go back and play systems, and I got a guy. I know a guy. I know a guy that has a shitload of systems.
Come on down
and
to the old Kevin shop.
he has systems that I ain't even freaking heard of.
Yep.
So
I thought he started naming off like random words, and you and I wouldn't even know if he was right or wrong.
He's throwing out random words and numbers. We're like, yeah, that's all.
I got that. I got
Pull
the
up.
dress
Hold on.
painting
Pull up.
system.
Right. Pull up the North American video game console list and name them off, and I'll tell you if I've had them.
Oh God.
I mean,
Yeah, he's actually doing it. Okay, Google.
There's a ton of them, but a lot of them I haven't had. A lot of them I have had or have still. It's nuts.
Do you guys
But,
remember the
you know.
game? The first-person shooter game. Again, I didn't do multiplayer. That I had was Splinter Cell. You guys remember that game?
I remember it, but I never played it.
I like that.
But I do remember it, yes.
Yeah.
I do have a really strong affection for the PlayStation 2 though, because I played Gran Turismo 4 like it was a religion. Every day before school and after school. My mom would come. I still have the chair that I used to game in when I was at home. It was like an old like chair from like the 70s or something, like a I had to show it to you one day. Yeah, Game Gear. Yeah, I owned a Game Gear. Not anymore because
Portable.
Yep, PSP. Yep.
PSP. Atari Lynx. I think you.
Yeah,
you said that, right? Yeah, I thought so.
Yep.
Was it a ColecoVision?
ColecoVision. Yep.
God.
Still have that. With the Atari adapter, so I can play Atari games on it.
Of course.
That was legal action stuff back then, buddy. That was insane. But anyway, keep going.
I got. Let's see, first generations. Holy.
No, I didn't have a whole lot of first gen stuff, but
so basically from 72.
a lot of them did the same stuff. A lot of them did the same stuff.
I was about to say, like, their list. They have from 72 to 84. They have like 875 home video consoles, and
a lot of them were consoles.
Jesus.
Like a lot of them were just Pong consoles, so you don't have to do all of those.
Yeah, I skipped that.
Skip to the 90s.
I went to third generation, which is 83 to 2003, because I feel like that's kind of a sweet spot for a lot of.
That's fine. That's
a lot of the games.
Yeah, go there.
There's a thing called a MyVision.
MyVision. Nope, never had a MyVision. Don't even know what that is, to be honest.
That thing looks like a piece of garbage.
Sure, it's a turd.
It looks bad. The Sega GS 1000.
Sega GS 1000.
Yep.
I'm gonna
assume that's probably one of. I mean, obviously one of the early ones is from like 83.
Yeah, I think it's a predecessor system.
Super Cassette Vision.
Nope.
Holy shit.
Some of these I definitely have not had, and I don't think I've seen them.
The Sega Mark III.
The Mark III.
And I'm definitely trying to stick to names that I've heard of, like Atari, Sega, Magnavox, stuff like that.
I think is the. Hold on. No, I have seen it, and I had a chance to buy one, but I decided not to buy it. But yes, that would be
that thing.
I think that's basically the Master System, just in a different region.
Yeah.
I think I may be wrong about that, but
in Atari 7800.
Well, we wouldn't know if you were wrong or not.
Atari X's.
Google.
Roman, get the stuff. Keep going.
Atari X and GX.
It's XEGS. Atari XEGS. 87.
No. No. I think that was a home computer.
It looks. I can't even explain what the hell it looks like. The Commodore 64.
Commodore
64. I've owned multiple of those before.
I remember Commodore. I never had it or played it, but I remember hearing about it.
I remember having the when they had the bit wars, when they're like, 16-bit, 32-bit, 64-bit.
Oh yeah, the XE and the XEGS are I've never owned one of those, but I've seen them before.
Yeah,
they look stupid.
they look not very.
It looks like the 80s to me.
Very. It looks very 80s.
Yeah.
Sega Genesis, yes.
Yes, absolutely.
PC Engine.
Yes, PC Engine is TurboGrafx. That's just the Japanese name for it.
Because they also have a TurboGrafx.
TurboGrafx 16.
16.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Super Famicom.
Super
Yeah,
Famicom is Super Nintendo.
I would say it looks.
That's the Japanese version.
The Japanese version. I would say because then you have the Super Nintendo.
The Japanese version looks different. Yep.
Wait, it's funny. They have like kind of the basic same controller, but the system itself looks remarkable. It actually looks
different.
like more advanced.
Yes.
Had like rounded edges. It actually looks pretty cool.
Yes.
Sega
it looks
CD.
way modern and better. Sega CD, yes.
Sega CD.
I actually own.
On those.
I've actually owned the model. I owned the Model 2 Sega CD, and then I actually owned a JVC XI,
so
which was a Sega CD and the Sega Genesis in one thing. But I sold that to my good buddy JD, who has it. So
that's what I was going to ask is, because I never messed with anything other than the Sega Genesis, but it was under my understanding like the Sega CD and there was another piece that you could add on to it to kind of extend the life of your Genesis. And I feel like Sega CD was
Sega Genesis had what I call the Sega Life Support System.
Yes.
When you hook it all up, you have the Sega CD add-on and the 32X add-on.
The 32X, that's right.
So when you have them all hooked up with all the wires, it looks like it's on life support.
Yes, and it looks a right mess.
Yes. They were trying so hard to keep that thing alive for the longest time when they should have just moved on to the Saturn. And they moved on to the Saturn, and then that's a whole story for another day too. The whole Sega debacle in the late 90s.
So, because they also the Atari Jaguar, which we kind of talked about before when we were talking about the systems, it gets shit on. Like if you look up every game console fail, like our worst consoles in ever, the Atari Jaguar is always on that list. Always.
Yeah, I mean, it's not super great, but I'm not gonna lie, the Jaguar controller is one of my legitimately favorite controllers.
So that because it had like a number pad on it, right?
Yeah, Ataris were notorious for having number pads because that's how you like change things in games or whatever.
Yeah.
But it just I don't know. I don't really play a whole lot of games on it, but I don't know. I just like that controller. It fits good in my hand. I don't know. It's weird. I have a strange love for the Jaguar. I don't really know why.
So the Atari Jaguar CD, is that just the CD portion put on top of the Jaguar? That's what the picture looks like.
It's a piece of garbage, and they don't work.
Do you have one?
I have never owned one because they cost so much. Because they're rare.
A lot of them. You got the Apple Pippin.
No, well,
that's on here.
Yep.
That was a 95.
One of those. Yep, I've never actually seen one of those, which is weird. I've never actually seen one.
It's funny because I've heard about them, but I've only ever heard of the Apple Pippin in like a
failed game consoles list.
Yeah, it's always up there. Because it was one of those first things that like it was like home computing, with a game system.
Yeah.
Because it was by Apple, but internet was so
Oh
garbage.
yeah. Because here's the thing, the Jaguar CD system is worth like $350, but it's just
the CD system. Holy shit!
Just the CD system itself. At least Jaguar is like $250 right now.
Holy cow! Okay, so
it's insane.
You got the N64 in '96, and then the N64DD in '99. It looks like it's just an add-on.
Only in Japan, yes.
Only in Japan. See, it's one of those things
like I'm pretty sure America didn't get it because it just wasn't good.
So, the Dreamcast.
Yes,
I remember that.
Sega's final console.
I was about to say, because that, I don't know of anything after that for Sega, which would make sense since it's the last console.
There isn't anything after that.
Now,
that console was like, when it came out, I remember seeing it at Funko Land, and it was like, what in the world is this thing? The graphics were so good.
Insane.
I was dumbfounded.
Why did it not work? Why did the Sega Dreamcast not work?
Sega of America and Sega of Japan not getting along with stuff, and people in Sega of America not knowing what the heck they're doing with marketing and making stuff. They just don't know what they're doing.
Because
that's literally like a story for the day. It's insane. Yeah, there's videos about it and everything.
I had a buddy who had one, and we played. I think it was like ESPN football, and you could go like first person in it and play football first person.
That was yeah. I think that was either that or NFL 2K.
Might have been NFL.
That's 2K. That's considered the best.
Because I think
the best football.
I think it was NFL 2K, because when we played it, it was like the graphics, especially for like the late 90s, early 2000s. It was insane how good graphically it went, and the fact that it didn't work, or not work, but it didn't become one of the greatest systems ever.
Mainstream.
Yeah,
it's because of internal stuff with Sega USA and Sega Japan, from what I remember.
Yeah, but that sucks, because that game was so, that system was so good. I was like, I had such high hope for it just tanked so quick.
That was Sega from the mid 90s to the late 90s.
Now, I will say,
how can we destroy our brand?
Yeah, and it didn't help that PlayStation came out like a year later in 2000 in the United States, basically.
Yeah, the PS2 having a DVD drive didn't help either.
Yes, so. That's also one of those things that the PlayStation 2 able to play DVD player, like DVDs, to me was amazing, because basically since I had a PlayStation 2, I've never owned a DVD player. I didn't have to, because I had one. And then when I got the PlayStation 4, now I can play, Blu-rays on it. It's like, I don't need a Blu-ray player either. Granted,
I always had a separate one because I had one with a VHS player in it.
I actually have one of those for my daughter now. I have one for my daughter, so we can still watch. My wife has like 8,000 Disney movies that are still like in the original things, and we watch them.
People are like, "You gotta get Disney Plus." I'm like, "I got it. It's on a shelf. I don't need Disney Plus. I have them all already."
And I mean, if you got Disney Plus on the first day, it crashed, which made sense. And they're like, "We didn't know so many
I still don't have it yet." I'm one of those guys that still doesn't have it.
I'm getting it.
I don't either.
I am.
I want it. It's just I just haven't done it yet.
I want it. I just don't want to.
I get it for free, so there's no reason not to.
You just don't want to pay for it. Yeah.
Oh wait, exactly. Yeah, because if you have like Verizon, right? If you have Verizon,
well, it only if you start a new account with it.
Yeah.
If you haven't gotten, or you have like a low end FiOS, and you want to upgrade to the better one, then they'll give it to you for free.
Yeah, no, I have. Or you have already.
But if you already have it, they won't let you have it.
That's some bullshit.
Yeah, no, I haven't had Disney Plus, and I got like a message like, "Oh, you qualify to be able to get it for free because of the plan I'm on or something." So I'm getting it for all the Marvel stuff. Well, he'll tell you that's what I'm big on.
So.
Yeah, now, I'm gonna talk to my parents and see if they want it, and because I pay for Netflix and I let them use my Netflix, so it's like we all buy the Disney Plus so I can use it.
Yeah, there you go.
So the Xbox, right? The original Xbox, the first one.
Yes.
Did you play it when it was a active console? If that makes sense. When it first came out.
Yes.
No.
Nope.
Okay, so Corbin.
Nope.
Did you buy the first one that had the massive ass controller?
Yep.
The Duke?
The Duke, big ass controller.
The Duke.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I once again I had a buddy who had one, and I hated that controller. And I had big hands, and I was like, this thing sucks, dude. Like, was like, no, it's
Yeah.
great. I'm like, nah, dude, this thing sucks.
Yeah. And I got that console like when it came out and everything because again I was all computers and I had Windows. So when Microsoft came out with its own, I was like, I gotta get it. I gotta be loyal to the brand. So that's why I got it right away.
The Xbox.
I've come
360
around to it lately because it's really nice.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
I just I mean, I've talked about this with Corbin before and Greg. The only reason like Xbox was not a thing for me was all my friends had PlayStations, so I played PlayStations to play with them.
Yeah, because
never got into Xbox.
I was the same way, but like in school, everybody would be talking about Halo, and I'm like, well, I gotta get a Halo, and they're like, well, you can't because you don't have an Xbox, and I was like, what's an Xbox?
It
Then I
comes right
eventually
after
found out what it
Xbox
was, and I was just like,
or whatever.
well, my mom is just like, we're not buying you another console, and I'm like, I get that, that's cool. Then I just started playing Gran Turismo 4, and I didn't worry about Halo because Gran Turismo 4.
Yeah, see, I never got into Halo because not because of I just don't like Halo. No, I didn't have an Xbox, so it's a Xbox game. I can't play it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. My first Halo experience was PC.
But see,
I found it at Walmart.
Did you guys ever play Unreal Tournament on the PC? The original Unreal Tournament? That was my first, I think,
I could say no.
real solid dabble
Yes.
in multiplayer because we hacked our computers at school to get it on there. So we were in our computer classes. The teacher would like, man, you guys are really studying. Yes, we are. We love this class. We love this class.
We love computers. Yeah,
So,
I mean, I played it now that I've got older, but I think back in the day when it first was like out, I had a guy at my church that was really big into computers and would be like, one of his sons was like kind of my age, so I was able to go over to his house and play sick computer games with him.
That's awesome. So
yeah, that was rad.
Sort of, I guess, last question of the evening. Which system had the biggest jump in tech to you, or which one sticks out the most? When it comes to whether it's graphics or speed of upload, download, just anything really. Like where was the you had an idea of what games could be, and then the next system came out, and you were like, "Holy shit!"
The Dreamcast, 100%.
Dreamcast. So I thought about
when I walked into Funkoland and saw Sonic Adventure on Dreamcast, I was like, "There's no lines in this. There's no pixels. There's no, there's no blocks. There's no garbage. It looked so good."
It's funny. It like I don't want to say it still holds up compared to what we have.
It absolutely does. 100%.
It's so much closer than the 2 or the 3. Like even if you look
if you look what it was from the Saturn to the Dreamcast, it was like night and day.
Yeah.
It was extremely different.
I never played a Saturn. I don't even know if I knew anyone that had a Saturn. Like
I didn't know about the Saturn until I started collecting. No joke.
See, that's the thing is I to me it went from like Sega Genesis to basically Dreamcast for me, and that's probably because I wasn't in the gaming world. So like that jump to me was like going from Sega Genesis to Dreamcast was like such a large jump. I was like, how the hell can you go from that to that?
Yeah.
And in my head, one system, which it actually was.
See, for me, N64. Because I didn't really play a whole bunch of consoles, so when I was able to see a 3D world, like in say Zelda and the Mario 64, all of that, where I was like I'm able to walk around, that freaked me out. I was like, wow,
that's another one for sure.
Well, it was definitely the ability to to walk straight and back and left and right.
3D platform with the stick was insane.
Yeah, and it
But
was so
Mario
well
64
done too.
was like, that was like the first game that did that.
Yeah, and it was funny because it was one of the first games that did that, and it did it so well. It was like, because if you had a game that did that and then did it really poorly, or the camera was weird and you couldn't really enjoy the game, like it would kind of, it would still be like, oh, this is really neat, but it would kind of kill it for the experience. But the Mario 64 did it so well, it was like, oh, holy like where else could these systems go?
Yeah.
And
So
it's
like the graphics on that too, I was like, oh my God, like all the color and all that. But again, you look at Zelda now and it's just like, oh my God. Or GoldenEye, and you look at the guys' faces, like the bad guy, and they're just like, what the hell? That's
I
nightmare.
will say, I played GoldenEye probably like on a 64 probably in the last 3 or 4 years, and it did not hold up for me.
But that's because of what you've
up.
been exposed to. But back then, again, that was like,
well, and that's what the issue was
it's
for me.
Because of the shooters we've been exposed to now.
The shooters I've been exposed to now, it's like, holy hell, the graphics are really good. And I've seen and played a few games on some high-end computers, which their graphics are even more insane. And then you go back to the N64 first-person shooter, and it's like it's still fun. Like I still love playing it, but it's like these graphics, man, they
how can you
suck.
How can you aim in this?
Well, it's funny because 90% of the aiming was just left and right. Like I think there was a way that you can like hold the right trigger or not white bumper, and you could like aim it, and then the trigger was to pull the trigger. But I think for me, going from PS2 to PS3, there was a jump there that made me kind of go like, holy shit.
Yeah, that's another good one.
Yeah, like it definitely, like if you look at them side by side, and the same thing happened with the 3 to the 4. It's like the obviously you're talking like a year, tons of years difference, better technology, newer technology, stuff that make the things go, holy shit, that looks like an actual dude.
Yeah, I mean you're right about that, because when I moved from Gran Turismo 4 onto Gran Turismo 5 eventually when it came out, because it got delayed and I was very upset. It was like my life was basically changed, like no joke.
Yeah,
because I had a CRT at that time and it didn't look as good as it could have, and I finally was able to buy a flat screen HD TV, and I was just like, my life was just.
And see, it's funny though, because when I played the PlayStation 2, it was on a regular old box TV, right? That's what I played on.
Yep. See,
and I actually
old CRT TV.
Oh yeah, and I made the jump to a PlayStation 3, both the system and a flat screen TV, like not a HD TV, because it was it was
like a plasma.
It was like a plasma. It was like a plasma.
Yeah.
But it was like that. So I made a jump in both the quality of the system and the quality of TV, and it like blew my freaking mind. Just how
it's nuts.
How much better it looked. And then like when because when the 3 came out, it only came with the cables. Like you had to go buy an HDMI.
Yeah, it only came with component cables.
Which I think
composite cables.
Xbox came with an HDMI cord. Or it eventually.
I don't think the original 360 did, but I could be wrong. But my buddy Josh will tell me all.
No, remember it was the original Xbox, not even the Xbox 360. The original Xbox.
The Xbox, like the Xbox 360, the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 came out roughly the same time frame.
Oh, okay.
And like I know the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 did not come with a HDMI cord. You had to go buy one.
Yeah, because the PlayStation 3 I believe came out in 2007. Well, I don't think the original 360s did, but I could be wrong.
See, I can't.
Maybe the later, maybe the next ones did, but
it might be like.
I don't remember getting an HDMI cable. Maybe I did. I don't remember.
See, that's the thing is we're also talking, over 12, 13 years from in the past.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
but I've
except-
worked in game stores, so I should know this, but I just can't remember.
Yeah, but I
don't remember what it came with.
No, I remember the Xbox 360 coming out and having the red rings of death.
Yeah. I have a story about PS3. My first PS3 had the yellow light of death on it.
See, it's funny.
Where it wouldn't. Well, not the yellow light. It just the disk drive didn't work, so I just took it right back to my GameStop, which my buddy worked at. He just gave me a new one anyway.
See, but it's funny.
Well, I mean, I think that's how it would have worked anyway, no matter where I took it.
Yeah, I mean, it was broken. Give me my
faulty.
shit back. Yeah, exactly.
But after that, but the funny thing is, after that, one of the ones I still have is the original one I bought back in whatever year that was.
Bullshit. Actually, I think the PlayStation 3 I have is the original 3 I have, and I mean my 4 is still my 4. But Greg, we ended up going to like 4 or 5 stores within a month period because he kept getting the red ring of death, and then red ring of death, and then he eventually was like, I'm going to PlayStation, and then it was PlayStation ever since, because he got red rings of death on like 4 straight consoles in less than 3.5 weeks. And matter of fact, two of them were on the same night.
I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, dude, it was a nightmare. Like, I remember he called me up and he was like, another one. I'm like, another one? Like, dude,
it's all that Hacksaws he used to do.
No, it's the fact. It was like it was one of those things that the red ring of death became a predominant thing, but in the grand scheme of things,
I never had it. I never got one.
Like I said, there's people that it never happened. It just happened that like the 4 or 5 he got all had it within a month. And I've had my PlayStations forever and never had any issues with them. And I owned at one time, I think I had 3 PlayStation 2s. I think total. And I think one only played Guitar Hero ever.
I don't remember that game.
Yeah, I played Guitar Hero like no business. I played it a lot when I was
I only played certain songs.
I played them all.
I got really good at certain songs, but that's about it.
I got really good at none songs. But well, I think that'll do it for this podcast. Like to thank Kevin for subbing in for Greg, and hope if he likes it, we'll have him back and we'll continue some more conversation.
Absolutely.
But
yeah, looking forward to it for sure.